BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed, ahoy, hoy. Welcome to episode 614. The show's so good, we've recorded this bit twice. Hello, one and all. Sorry we weren't here last week. It was a combination of terrible gastrointestinal malady, Coleman being locked in the petrol station because he'd done something wrong, and Tim being Tim.
Yeah.
Tim was just sat there talking to himself. Merrily, weren't you, Tim?
Yeah. I had a very nice conversation with myself. No one else got to hear it.
Oh,
but, you know,
bless your little consoles.
Hey.
And Coleman, have the beatings stop in the petrol station yet?
The beatings will never stop, Dan. They will never cease.
Glad to hear.
Are you in for a beating?
What?
Are you in for a beating?
I'm always eat my dust.
Daniel, you in for a beating?
Nah. Yes. So sorry we weren't here last week, ladies, gents, and everyone else. I think it was a reasonable week that not much happened in video games. I think. But
I heard it was our best show.
It was the best show. Actually, that's a very good point.
Best show ever.
Best show ever. Only one of the three of us has actually managed to find time to play video games in between. I'm personally starting to try and get through my pile of shame, and thanks to a nice Mr. Coleman, my friendly neighbourhood Coleman, he's lent me his copy of Astrobot, and that game's like a big hug, and it's amazing, and it's
great.
Lovely. It makes. Do you know what's so nice? Do you know what's so nice about Astrobot?
No, so neat.
He's frozen again.
No, I haven't.
Oh. What happened?
Tim told a terrible joke.
I heard like a noise.
unusual.
So I thought your computer died again.
No, it was just me. It's just my brain imploding. That's what the audio sound of that is. It's like it kind of reminds me of the little wonder I had when I was a kid playing games, and I haven't had that feeling for a while. Great, lovely. Anyway, I'm probably
Happy 30th anniversary, Sony. Hey.
Absolutely. And I've turned on my PS5 for the first time. There's a lot of 30th anniversary stuff coming down the pipe. There's a lot coming down.
Off.
Did you?
Oh,
you miserable
cool.
git.
Yeah.
I really like the retro turn your console on, and it did the old.
Yeah, that's
That
right.
was fine.
Yeah.
But it went, hey, here's a 30th anniversary theme. And I went, well, that's rubbish. And they went, don't worry, there's one's themed on other consoles. And I tried all of them, they all look rubbish. And they
the
blocked all the key
PS1
artwork.
one's all right.
I put the
like
PS1 one on. I like it. It makes nice sounds.
Yeah.
Fills me with joy. You're just dead inside.
Miserable. Coleman's dead inside again.
I like the look of my PS5 inside and out. And I don't need all these newfangled themes on there. Thank you very much.
Wow. All right. Fine. Well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get away with doing that.
I can get away with doing that.
No.
I think you'll find out I just did.
No.
Just bring it.
No, you
It's
did
been
not.
brung.
No, you did not. May I just say, girlfriend? Okay, you did not.
Listen, Dan, you ain't all that in a bag of potato chips. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's fine. I'm quite okay with that.
Quite okay.
It's fine.
Good.
I'm quite okay with that. It's fine.
Smash Soul said he also turned it off because he's a clever person like me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Boo.
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 Smart people think alike.
Boo.
Smart people think alike. Anyway, Tim, what you been
Sheep
playing?
think alike.
Smart sheep, though. Smart sheep.
Mm-hmm. Join us on Blue Sky.
Mm. Do you know, for a while, I generally thought Blue Sky was like run by Rupert Murdoch. I was like, why is everyone going to be Sky B for this? Oh, wait, it's Blue Sky. All right, gotcha. Because I've reached the age where I'm now incapable of knowing what the kids are up to. It's terrible.
Good. I'm just a
right.
slave to the trends.
Yes. It's quite refreshing once you're all right with, not being part of the zeitgeist. It's quite fun. Quite like it. Allows you to
What's
be
Tim been
grumpier.
playing?
Himself.
Very cool.
No, that's been
I've
a
been
great
playing
show. Toodle bye.
Video games like we're supposed to.
We've been
Look,
playing
just
video games, just nothing new.
Yep.
We've been waiting for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Well, I've been playing old
I'm looking
things,
forward
to
to
be
that
fair.
Monday.
Yeah, Indiana Jones looks really good in previews
I won't
and stuff.
do any
That
more
looks
of that.
excellent.
Because
Also,
they've,
what we're talking about next week, though, Behemoth came out today, and I'm really looking forward to that too. That's a game that I have purchased.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
No,
Oh, boo.
it's a VR game, so you'll hate me talking about it, but I'll do it anyway. So look forward to
No,
that.
you can do it on VRB. Do it
Yeah.
on VRB.
Do on that
Do
other
VRB,
show, mate.
Tim.
Yeah, because we've
Tim,
recorded
do
a lot of
VRB.
those lately.
Do a VRB, Tim.
Me and Kev should actually do one before the end of the year because there's a lot of big VR games coming out in the next
Do a
week or
VRB,
so, and
Tim.
then before the end of
Tim,
the year.
do a VRB.
And he's got some stuff to talk about. We should do.
VRB,
Yes.
Tim.
Yeah.
Just don't do any news. Just do your backlog of video games, and then you're good. That'll only last you 4 hours, so you'll be fine.
Yes, exactly.
Quite
Yeah.
a short show.
Yeah. Tim's
But-
talking about exactly 2 games.
Well, I've got 8 to talk about today. No, 9, I think.
Hey!
Ah, crap.
Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? It's only 8.
no,
We're
it's
okay.
a compilation.
We're okay.
Yeah, look, if you're going to talk about all of the games in the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, I'm going to come over there and kick you squarely in the plums. All right?
I think it's easier if I do it. He's only
All
down
right,
the road.
if I could just delegate that to you, Coleman, that'd be great.
Delegated. Right, yeah. But before I talk about that, I'll talk about the other things.
No.
So it's a bit quicker anyway. So I've been
Okay.
talking about
Only 45
been
minutes.
playing Star Wars Outlaws Wildcard, although I haven't got through all of the content on that, and I haven't got to the main portion of it for reasons. But anyone doesn't
Right.
know, Star Wars Outlaws came out earlier this year, got a bit of a mixed reception. Coleman and I both liked it, and quite a few other people loved it, but some people
I
really
reviewed it.
didn't take to it very well.
Uh-huh.
But there was some DLC that you could buy where it gave you, well, it was confusingly worded, and I think it's slightly dishonestly worded in retrospect as well, because it seemed to indicate that there were 3 DLC portions, one of
Right.
which was Wildcard is out now. There's another one that's coming out in the future that involves Hondo and Akka. And then there is a one that was available at launch that involves Jabba the Hutt. Now, where I see that being slightly misleading is the Jabba the Hutt thing is really really quick and done. And I thought it was possibly about 20 minutes. That's possibly a bit unkind. It might have been like 30 to 40
Should have been a
minutes,
pre-order bonus.
But it
Wow.
pretty much was. That's what it felt like, at least, anyway.
No, it was an
Like, it felt
Ultimate
like-
Edition version.
it
thing,
felt like
wasn't
that
it?
sort of length of stuff. But it was a real quick mission. Like, literally half the mission was traveling back up to Jabba's palace to report back to him after the mission. The other bit was just quite short in general. There was a bit of ground stuff and then a bit when you took off into space. But all of it was quite short. And as I said, almost half of it was just talking to Jabba the Hutt in a cutscene, basically. So, yeah, that felt like it was a bit reductive. I don't know how big the wildcard portion is. As I said, I haven't got to it, but I didn't get to it for reasons. Partly because I got distracted by jumping back in and I still haven't finished the main portion of the game, so I was jumping back in and doing bits there. I kind of wanted, because the wildcard relates to a Lando-related kind of quest involving the card game in the game called Sabak.
Sabak!
And their version of Sabak that's in this game. Which I really liked and really enjoyed, and that's one of the things that attracted me to buying the DLC. But because it involved the Sabak game, there's a cheat method. There's like various different cheats that you can do within that game, and one of them involves having magnetic dice, and there's a quest to unlock those that I wanted to complete before I went off on the adventures. So I did that, unlocked those, and then was
You're
like, right,
dirty
I want to
cheater.
play a quick game of Sabak before I go off and do the main content because I want to practice doing the cheat because I haven't done it before. And each cheat is a little different kind of mini game variant type thing where you have to actively, it's not just like I will cheat and therefore you cheat. Like you've got a little thing that you need to do that like triggers that cheat. So I wanted to practice that before I went into a big tournament type thing in Sabak. So I kind of went to I was on Tatooine, which is where the quest was. So I went to do that. Having successfully done that and won that game, it then opened up another quest line with Lando. So I was like, oh, okay, well, rather than staying here for another game or two and doing that, I'll go and do that. What I didn't realize is the quest was on a planet where the main quest I had at the moment actually like took over. And it hadn't really done this in the game, so I wasn't expecting it because I hadn't done it before. But it kind of automatically, when you landed on that planet, you couldn't go off and do another quest. You had to go off and do the main quest. because your
Right.
shipmates were like standing on the edge of the ship and then came with you on the quest. And so, but the only problem there was that quest was like an hour and a half or so long, and you couldn't save at any point, and I couldn't leave it. So I had to get stuck in that quest and do all that quest, and that took up the portion of time that I had that I was going to go off, do the Lando thing, and then get an hour or so into this mission to see how long it was. So I haven't seen the major portion of the quest beyond that. The little bit I did see, and it's a kind of, not quite a heist thing, but it's a Sabacc game, and there's a bit of story going on there, and Lando's involved and other bits involved. But the kind of setup to it as well sees you like having to trail a ship in space to work out where it's going, and there's a little bit that preempts that as well. But basically, you have to follow this ship to see where it's going, to then be able to work out where the game takes place, because it takes place on a mysterious ship that isn't sort of charted and doesn't kind of advertise where it is, basically, because it's a bit of a underworldy type thing.
Tabletop
And
Tuesdays every Tuesday.
you've been-
Loading bar, Stoke
Yeah.
Newington.
You've been kind of suckered into doing this mission on false pretenses for an Imperial captain or admiral, or I can't remember what rank he is, but some Imperial officer that's kind of got you into doing
Poop
his
deck sweeper.
bidding and kind of roped you in, as I said, under false pretenses to try
They don't
and
give him a break.
undermine this game and go and win this moon on his behalf, basically.
Right.
That's
Because,
no
yeah, prize is the moon. I bet it's not going to be a moon. I bet that's going to be a line that comes up at some point, Coleman, as well. So we'll see. But yeah, so I don't know too much about the overall quest. It is available for $12.99, which would indicate to me that there is like more of that quest than there was to the Jabba one. I certainly hope that's the case. And I think there's a pack where for $24.99 you get the Wildcard DLC, the upcoming DLC with Hondo and Aka, and the Jabba stuff. And also, I thought I'd missed out on this because I hadn't pre-ordered the DLC, but it also comes with a couple of costumes. One that is, and they're costumes that weirdly, like, they're kind of things that you can put as the look of your costume, no matter what costume you're playing. Because in the game, different costumes give you different abilities. But this is something you can like supersede that with and put this on top of whatever costume you're wearing. And it looks very much like Han Solo's outfit, or a kind of take on Boba Fett's outfit.
Jabba the Hutt.
basically. No, Boba Fett. So both are quite cool. I'm running around in the Boba Fett one at the moment. I quite like that. It's quite cool. I remains to be seen whether the DLC is worth it, but I'm kind of glad it gave me an excuse to jump back into the game, because overall I have been enjoying the game. Also, at the same time as this DLC came out, and I believe the PC launch was a similar time. I think the PC launch, from what I hear, has had problems, like technical issues and hang-ups with it crashing a bit, and a few other things that I think they'll be ironing out in the future. But alongside both of that, the PC launch and this DLC was a big update for the game as well. So they've changed the way a lot of the kind of stealth missions worked and how that works. One of the biggest, well, two of the biggest like quality of life things that I've seen as a difference is that the behavior of the speeder bike is a lot less skittish. Doesn't sort of just come out of nowhere and do weird things. It kind of comes in much more logically and kind of without being weird. And then also, but I think the bigger one is that the weapons that you can pick up in the game. Previously, when you tried to like go up a ladder or interact with anything, you drop that weapon, and that was a bit annoying to a lot of people. But now you can actually see it on the character's back as she climbs up the ladder, as K-Vest climbs up ladders and stuff. You'll see it there,
cool.
and then it's available to you when you come back out as well. So that has made a bit of a difference. They also seem to have, from what I think I haven't seen this in any patch notes or anything, but I don't know if there's just different weapons available than I had before, but there seems to be a greater variety of weapons, and they seem to have fine-tuned some of those weapons so they work a bit differently as well. And yeah, they seem a bit better than they were and a bit more useful than they were previously as well. So yeah, all that seems pretty good, basically.
Couple of quick questions from me. Question the first,
Yes.
young Timothy, and I'll relate it to what you were just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the criticisms I've heard about Wildcard is that there's still, although it sounds like they've made some improvements, it still sounds like there's some pretty kind of glaring bits of kind of slightly janky bits, like weird animations bugging out, some just, AI still being artificial dumb rather than artificial intelligence in the game. And
the AI's still a bit odd, but it didn't bother me so much that it hampered my enjoyment of the game previously, and that still kind of remains the case. Like, there does seem to be some inconsistencies, some of which they've polished out and some of which still seem to be there. Like, one of the things they seem to have tightened up is, like, if you send Nyx, your little alien buddy, to go and interact with an alarm, and he was almost invisible to enemies, so you could do it whether their back was turned, whether they were looking right at the panel you were sabotaging or whatever. Now you have to be a bit more careful and do it behind their back and get him to sneak up on it, because they will notice him and they will go, what's going on here, kind of thing. So you have to kind of be a bit more wary about that. The thing they don't seem to have polished up on, which I heard they had, and I can't, from the levels that I've tried and the ones I just played, and not giving too much away, but the level that I was doing before was in a droid factory, and then there was a level that followed on from that had a more kind of open area with alarms and stuff. And from what I'd heard, the stealth portions of the stuff, and I tried it out deliberately to try and see what differences they made, but I'd heard that they tightened up those things, and the stealth, like the reliance on stealth being a thing that you had to do, was not there as much, basically, and that you could just shoot your way through things. That wasn't the case in the level I've just played, so I don't know if that is something that, I think it was more of a problem with Imperial bases, and it wasn't an Imperial base that I was interacting with. So I don't know if that's tightened up in earlier portions of the game and hasn't made it to the one that I was in, or whether this was a special case where that wasn't the case, or my understanding of what they've changed isn't what they've exactly changed. But that still seems to be a little on the odd side. Like, as in, it's a small camp of people. I would have thought if I sabotaged all those alarms and just shot my way through, it'd be okay. But it seems to be endless waves of enemies. And I couldn't be bothered to sneak through this massive camp because I was trying to do the whole thing quickly. So I ended up shooting my way across, getting to another part of the level, and then just hiding until they forgot about me, even though I just murdered like 100 people to get there. And then they all forgot that I was possibly in the base. And then I could sneak through the last portion of it. Because
I heard they have made some tweaks to things like the combat mechanics, like enemies now have weak points, that, there's no insta-fails for stealth anymore, things like that. So it sounds like they are making some quality of life improvements.
Yeah, but my understanding of what that meant in-game for the insta-fails, I didn't encounter that much of a problem with that previously, but I thought they would have tweaked like the endless waves of enemies when you're trying to sneak through something. That's not something they seem to have tweaked. So I was like, oh, okay, so that's a bit disappointing. But I haven't been at a place where I could test out whether they've done the insta-fail stuff, because I just haven't been in any big Imperial camps yet, basically. But
question the second, though,
yes.
Tim. Question the second.
What have you done with Coleman?
Well, yeah, Coleman has gone. I wasn't going to draw attention to it, but he's sending him back to lick out the petrol tank again in the gas station. The card game, is it actually, have they put in a decent kind of game there? If people are expecting something like Gwent, are they going to be disappointed?
Right. It's not quite as involved as Gwent, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I love that card game to the point where if they had a separate version of that on phone, I would buy it. Absolutely. And I have actually checked out, there's a company on Etsy that's actually produced a physical version of the game.
Oh, cool.
And I am, it's slightly high in price, but kind of I can understand when they've only done a short run of it. But I am very tempted to pick that up just so I can play that at Tabletop Tuesday in general.
Nice.
And I might treat myself to that for Christmas or after Christmas at some point.
Nice.
Well, because I like the card game enough that that's the case. So, yeah, I'm not sure everyone will definitely love it, but I absolutely love the card game in that. And I like my card games in games, especially Star Wars games. I like Pazak in KOTOR. I think it's better than Pazak in KOTOR, and that's a high standard for card games and card games for me. I think Gwent probably still has a little bit more to it, but my memory of Gwent's slightly perverted by actually playing it separately from the game that was in The Witcher as well. So... because it did add a little bit more to it when it came out as a full game as well. But yeah, I've got absolutely no problems with the card game. I'm actually really, like, as I said, part of the reason why I bought the DLC is because I'm really looking forward to playing that tournament in the world as well. So I'm looking forward to that, and we'll report back once I've played through it.
Nice. So your second game, which I'm going to have to slap you down if you think that you're going to talk about 8 different games in this. Because
it's 7.
Wrong, or 6.
To be
oh,
fair.
well, that's okay then. Please, Tim, regale me with endless exhortations of menu structure. Jesus.
I'm going to talk about menus in this. A bit
Well, that's okay.
Well.
We'll strap in, just as long as there's some good content in those menus. So this is Marvel versus Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics.
Yes.
Give it its name.
Mm-hmm.
I think Coleman's still here because I didn't make that happen.
He's with us in spirit. That's why there's video. But as it's showing here, and as we alluded to the fact that this may have been a collection entirely made for me, like it's got various games with barrels in it, for one, as we just saw on screen.
Sweet.
There. It's got a
lucky boy.
It's got 6 of the Marvel versus Capcom style fighting games, and the scrolling beat 'em up of the Punisher, which is particularly why we kind of noted that it was kind of made for me. And yeah, so it covers a period of. I think they were all arcade releases originally, hence the fact that it's arcade classics. That would make sense. But it's kind of X-Men Children of the Atom up to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And without listing all of the games, all of the kind of arcade releases that were along that path, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel Street Fighter versus X-Men versus Street Fighter, and other kind of incarnations. And generally, like, they are all playable, are all fun. You get to play you can play either the English or the Japanese original. There's some fun little extras, like you can put the boot up screen and the arcade before it comes up and stuff like that.
So like the kind of the ROM check and stuff like that.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Nice.
And then generally they get a little bit more polished and playable and bigger character rosters as you kind of go through the different ages of them. But even the first one, X-Men Children of the Atom, is still playable and fun and good. There's some nice little extras. I think it's difficult to tell because I got the game, and the reason why I'm talking about it now is because I waited for the physical release, which I didn't realize when I pre-ordered the game was sometimes after the digital release. I didn't realize it was going to be months of waiting until it came out.
Because it's been out like since September, hasn't it?
Yeah, that sort of time.
The digital release.
And I don't know, did you pick it up at the time, Coleman?
No, I haven't touched it.
No, okay.
I'm a dirty ROM boy.
Right, okay, fine. So
Gotta be careful about admitting to that, mate.
I ordered the physical version particularly because I got a particularly good deal at the Game Collection. I'll give them a shout out. Because they did get it to me on time. Although I did complain, I was like, I ordered this game a bit ago and I haven't got it yet. And they're like, because it hasn't come out yet.
It's only just been released.
Oh.
Classic Tim.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah. So
at
anyway,
least you didn't write to Phil Spencer.
Yeah. But
dear Mr. So-called Spencer,
if that is your name.
But I got I got a discount for using like my points that I got from previous purchases. One of which I think was oddly enough Star Wars Outlaws. And then also I got a discount for like signing up to their newsletter. So I got the game pretty cheap, and it's a good deal at that price, particularly at that price. But I mentioned that because I think if I'd bought like any one of the games individually at like, a lower or price or a portion of the main price of the game, or I bought it for full price, I might be a little bit on the disappointed side.
Okay.
But I think having bought them as a collection and bought them cheaper, I'm more than happy with my purchase. But as I said, that may be because it's kind of tailored to me. They have added, like, on top of the games, they have added a few nice little extras. There is a training mode available, and I haven't really seen if there's a training mode for the Punisher, which would be weird. But there's a training mode for all of the other games, and I've checked out a couple of those. And they actually, basically, it just loads into a version of the game where you've got your super meter permanently filled, so you can always do those moves. The other character isn't really attacking you, or isn't attacking you at all. And you can see all the hitboxes, and it gives you a bit of feedback of the button presses you're doing and stuff like that. So it's not a full-on like training, this is how to do everything mode. But at any point and in the game generally, you can press the kind of, on the place that I've been playing on PS5, and the big button. I don't know why it's on the big button rather than the start button, but I think it's because some of the games involve the start button. Although, anyway, that's a bit weird. But
by the big button, do you mean the touchpad, Tim?
The big touchpad thing, yes. So you can
big touchpad button.
Hit that to bring up a menu
button.
of stuff, and it will in that it will tell you the moves list of all the different characters' moves and the basic moves of the game, and then you can change button bindings and other bits and bobs. But it also they've added a couple of extra features which are quite nice. You can do a little rewind, so you can rewind for a couple of seconds and sort of
damn it,
go back.
Coleman, I was going to say that.
I only really found that out when I was playing the Punisher, but I did just double check that does work in the other games as well. So that's a little feature that you can use. There is this one thing I find really odd. You can save mid-game, which is quite good for some of the tougher versions of the arcade game, particularly when some of the bosses are a bit tough. But there's only one save slot for all 7 games. So if you try and save your progress on the Punisher, it'll overwrite the stuff on X-Men. And that just was really odd. I don't know why they've done that at all. I wish there was a separate save state for each game at least.
That seems really odd.
Yeah, it seems really strange. And I don't know what the technical limitation is why they had to do that way. But at least seems like you should have at least one save shot for each game. I can't understand why that's the case. And I wish it wasn't the case.
But is it like is it a super quick save and load? So if you just mess something up, can you just is it like essentially doing a state?
I don't know actually. I've saved one that I got with the final boss, and went back to. There's a real disparity between some of the difficulties of boss in, especially for arcade games. You expect them to be quite difficult, but Apocalypse I did first time in, I can't remember what was that, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, I think. But then Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the boss in that, which is Onslaught, I think, was next to impossible. The first stage of it, I thought, that's a bit easy. That's not too bad. And then there's a second stage that's near impossible. I was like, oh my God. And sometimes the first stage is enough to kill you as well. So it's like, oh my word. But there's also, I think that they've added enough to the games. The versions of the games are pretty good. Having the Japanese versions available to have a look at as well. There's also a thing where you can go into the Punisher and load up from any particular level. And using that, I found there's also a bonus level, although for some reason that doesn't seem to work. It loads up and then it does something, and then it just there's a thing in an aeroplane and a couple of guys going, but then it instantly cuts off. It seems like you've won straight away without punching anyone or doing anything. But yeah, anyone that doesn't know as well, the Punisher scrolling beat 'em up game is very much seems like it was based on the old Final Fight engine. I'm not sure that's the case, but I did have a look. It was 1993, so it makes sense because I think it was a couple of years after Final Fight came out. And it very much seems like even some of the level structure, some of the enemies and stuff may have been directly taken from that, just updated sprites and stuff. But they've added a kind of shooting mechanic to it as well. So you can there's sections where you're just sort of punching people and hitting them with weapons. That feels very much like Final Fight. But then they add bits where you can be shooting people as well. It's basically anytime there's an enemy shooting at you, you can shoot all the enemies. It does feel a little bit easier overall than Final Fight, I think. It's a bit more forgiving, although that might be just mainly because you've got the kind of moves you do in Final Fight where it does in this case, it's a leg sweep, and it does a leg sweep all around you that takes a little bit of your health off. But on top of that, you can jump in the air and throw a grenade, and you get a limited number of them, but they get refilled per life. And it's kind of, when you're playing on the free play thing, you can use them a bit overly liberally, and so that does kind of make it a bit easy. There's a 2-player variant of the scrolling beat 'em up, which I haven't played, where you've got the Punisher and Nick Fury smoking a cigar, which I'm not sure that they'll necessarily get away with. It's pre-Samuel Jackson Nick Fury. So yeah,
David Hasselhoff, baby.
Very David Hasselhoff looking.
So I have a question for you, though,
yeah.
Tim, and this is a dangerous conversational avenue for me to explore because it's going to involve menus. All right.
Right, yeah.
One of my favourite things with these anthology games is almost like kind of the museum-y type mode where you can do a peek into like the game design documents, like kind of high-res artwork of like the arcade cabinet inserts and stuff like that. Is that part of this as well?
I haven't seen much of the museum stuff in terms of artwork. I don't know if that's somewhere that I just haven't encountered it yet, but I don't think there's too much of that.
I found a menu he hasn't gone into.
No, the one thing that I do like is that in that pause menu I mentioned where you can look at the moves list and stuff, you can also bring up the and I can't remember what they call it, but it's the kind of artwork that was on the arcade machine, not the kind of general artwork, but the stuff that tells you about the in-game moves and the buttons and how that how that works, like the information that you'd get usually on the face of the old arcade machines. That information is available to you, and you can look at that, which is quite cool. But yeah, I don't think there's too much in the way of like information and old artwork and behind the scenes stuff and stuff like that, which seems like a bit of a miss. But yeah, as I said, I don't know if I just haven't seen that, but I haven't come across that so far, basically. But as I said, like having like the little rewind function and like the English and Japanese versions, and stuff like that just makes it a nice collection from that point of view. And I think they've added a few nice little extras, and the games all seem to run and play well, and I've enjoyed them all so far, basically. So yeah,
wow, good stuff.
I have to have Coleman round for some multiplayer version of that at some point as well.
Yeah,
slap each other silly.
Booze and fighting. That's the gospel way.
Yep.
Well, I was standing in a car park while half cut by, so going Hadouken at each other probably isn't really what with the image you're going for, I would have thought. Although it would be fun to see. I'd pay money for that. You and Tim pretend to do Street Fighter moves at each other at 3 o'clock in the morning in a car park. That'd be hilarious.
Well, drunk.
Yeah. I might pick this up, but I'll probably wait for more of a discount, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. As I said, I got it at discount.
40 quid for some old games? They even back in there, you played this for 20p.
Yeah.
No.
Because arcade game.
Oh, true.
I think
true
I got it for £22. Mind you, up in London, it was either 30 or 50p normally, but
Yeah, 50p is what's in my mind.
Bloomin' heck.
Yeah.
Well, ain't like that down Leon Soul at Olympia Amusement.
There was a Street Fighter 2 cabinet, and that must have been, well, that's early 90s, isn't it? And that was 50p, I think.
I think the most expensive one in my local arcade in Leon Solon was Turtles or Simpsons. It was one of those two, but that was when they went up to 30p. Yeah.
They were renowned for the Turtles one was renowned for gobbling cash, though.
Yeah.
I think the Turtles one is the one that got me banned from going to arcades as a child. Because I had
why is that, Coleman?
What did you do, Coleman?
I lost and had a temper tantrum.
Did you? Was it a dirty protest?
Did you get banned by the arcade or your parents?
No, by my parents. They're like, you can't go to arcades. Oh no, well, sorry. More accurately, I could go to arcades. I wasn't allowed to play because I clearly couldn't handle it.
Wow.
And I think I was banned until I was like 14 years old.
Oh my God.
What does it say, though, that I don't remember completing the Punisher arcade game on the arcades, but I did complete Moonwalker?
Nice. I love the Moonwalker arcade game. It always looked so fun. I wish I could have played it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't recall it being as fun as it looked, I have to say.
It was pretty
good.
Mind
you, many people said that about Michael Jackson, so...
Whoa.
Whoa! Yeah. I don't know. They keep bringing that. Well, I've seen it a couple of times where I forget the name of the company, the ones we partnered with for Scottish Car Show. They brought the. I'm going around the scenic route to get to this anecdote, but every time EGX and they turn up, they've usually got that arcade machine, and I keep thinking, I can finally have a go at it, and every time there's a queue for it.
It's because it's still great. Still great.
Still great.
Simpsons arcade game was properly great, and Turtles.
That was
I love the Simpsons arcade game. I've got that on the 360
better than Turtles
still.
because you could do the team up moves, though, I always thought.
Yeah, I Could you?
I thought you could in the Turtles game.
I don't think there was team up moves in that.
You just needed friends, Tim. That's what you needed.
Oh, maybe.
Mate.
I don't know.
Oh,
I'll
that
look
was
into
good
this.
Fun. Yeah,
I'll report back.
I'm now
I probably
blatantly
won't.
about to go down a rabbit hole of looking up retro arcade machines.
Don't do it.
Shame you'll never get like The Simpsons re-released on something because that was great.
They've done it. They've
Did
done
they?
it. Insert Coin did it. Well, Insert Coin brought them out. Is it Insert Coin, the company that makes
they're
the little
t-shirt company.
crap. What are they called? The one Up, Power Up, something like that.
You're just saying words.
Jeff
now,
Bridges. Jeff
Cole.
Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. Yeah, Jeff
Yes.
Bridges did it. Yeah.
Jeff Capes.
He got sucked into an arcade machine.
What?
Right. Tron.
Right.
And Tron 2. Tron Electric Boogaloo.
Mhm.
Tron 3 coming soon. Jared Leto.
Looks cool apart from the Jared Leto, but yeah.
The Turtles game was so good.
Anyway,
Or I
whoever the hell
remember it
keeps
being
making
so
those
It was good.
quarter size or third size arcade cabinets, they made a Simpsons one.
Did they do a Simpsons one? I didn't see them do that.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the Simpsons one, but
And
they
I think
did
that is one
re-release it. Okay, they did re-release them for 360 at one point, 360 arcade, and I've still got that available because I bought it. You could download them again. Yeah. Anywho, or you could just be a filthy ROM pirate like me.
Yeah, please do keep admitting to that. That does all kinds of wonders, I'm sure, for us.
I don't care. As long as I don't show them off on YouTube and they don't belong to Nintendo, should be all right.
Good. Anyway, moving
not
on.
sure that's
Shall we
true.
talk about some news? I think we should talk about some news.
But
It's
I
not gonna
completed
get us
Death
sued.
Stranding, Dan.
What?
Dan, I beat Death Stranding, Dan.
I know you did.
No,
I
I'm
know
so happy.
one of your life goals has been attained.
not
I've spent
possible,
5 years, Dan. I've finally done it. I had 2 goals this year, and I've done it in December. I have to beat
Woo-hoo.
Cyberpunk, and I have to beat Death Stranding. I'm done.
Ooh.
I must say,
I did
I picked up the Ultimate Edition of Cyberpunk on Steam
Ooh.
Nice.
during the autumn sale because it doesn't. I mean, I'm not saying it runs great on the Steam Deck, but it runs pretty well, all things considering.
It
Cyberpunk.
runs. But
It
yeah, get that
runs.
on
Don't
your
tempt me.
desktop. Get that ray tracing on. Get all the cool shiny bits on. Make it
Yeah.
look good. Go hang out with Keanu Reeves. Go hang out with Idris Elba. Go have fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it.
That's a preem game. It's a preem game, Dan.
How
right,
is your
Jim.
life now? You're a post-apocalyptic postman, Coleman.
I still want to play it, but I've done it.
Why?
and
But why?
I don't know. I just love it so
Talking of
much.
bridges.
But I just wanted to bring up. So there was a thing. They showed it off when they were announcing the director's cut a couple of years back, 2 years back, I think it was now. And there was an extra level they'd added in, which was inspired by Metal Gear Solid. And I'd completely forgotten about that. And it's like a post-game little mission thing you do.
Okay.
And I think the way it was shown off was at the Game Awards, and they show Sam Bridges getting a box, and you're like, "Ooh, he's gonna get the box," and then he gets in the box the wrong way, and it's like, "Oh, that was silly." But it's a whole level.
Hideo Kojima.
There's a whole
You
level where it's like
cad.
a warehouse level. It looks a little bit icy and desolate. There's a rat running around a vent, and the music sounds very eerily familiar to sort of the opening Shadow Moses music. And it's really cool. It's like a little stealth mission that they've just added in there. And then you get through, and then there's things that are more like when you beat the level, you got to climb out a very long ladder, while some music is playing.
Have you got a
there's
bazooka you can direct around corners?
No, it's more it's a little bit Metal Gear 1 and then a lot Snake Eater influenced.
Okay.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Really good. I love that game. I'm really looking forward to the second one. I've been kind of trying to avoid the trailers and the gameplay stuff beforehand, and then now I finished it. I watched it and went, okay, I didn't really spoil myself anything if I would have seen that before, but seeing like the scope of what it's going to be, it looks really, really cool. Anyway,
Nice.
Sorry, rant over.
That's quite all right. Good rant, Coleman. Well
Good
done.
rant, Coleman.
Congratulations. Shall we do the news?
Yes.
Yes! Let's start with IllFonic. Who are IllFonic, you
Oh.
may ask?
Yeah, I was going to ask it. Who the bloody hell are IllFonic?
Well, Dan, I'm glad you asked. They're the developers behind such games as Friday the 13th, Predator Hunting Grounds, and more recently, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I
Right.
could
That
have
was their
probably told you.
mistake.
Yeah, I'm not a big marketing genius or anything. I like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I could have told you that was a bad idea.
Hey, but even when clowns is spelt with a K, that's a mark of quality.
No.
God damn it.
I like that film. I liked the idea of them making a video game, but it just spelled doom for that studio. And also, there's a Predator Hunting Grounds port coming to PS5 as well. Anyway, that Killer Clowns from Outer Space has come out. Predator Hunting Grounds is getting ported, and to celebrate, they've laid off a bunch of staff. They haven't.
Congratulations on the job well done.
Yeah, they haven't announced how many staff
for the rest of your life without pay.
They haven't announced how much stuff they've laid off, but the CEO and co-founder Charles Bungert, he said on X,
Charles
Bungert.
Bungert.
How would you say it? I said Bungert. How would you say it?
Brungart.
I like Brungart.
That's how I would go for it. Not Bungert or whatever you say.
Bungart. Brungart.
Charlie asked Dust, what?
That's him. He went on saying that today they accept the harsh reality that the state of the industry has impacted them here at IllFonic.
No,
they've had to
not
make
the
cuts to their
state
team.
of the industry.
And
Excuse.
we'll probably talk about it more later because there's more layoffs this week. But it is a shame because Friday the 13th had a rocky start. They put a lot of work into making it much better. Predator Hunting Grounds felt a lot more polished when it came out, and I don't know if that's just because of they had a pretty lengthy tour around different shows and then a beta trial and everything before the game actually came out. In its detriment, in some cases, like I played so much of the beta that I was like, well, I don't really need to buy the game now. I've got my fill of Predator Hunting Grounds. But yeah. And then Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I just haven't got to, but it looked very good, and I heard a lot of good things in preview. It's just that no one bought it.
Yeah,
which is a shame.
Do you think they've come to the end of like? Do you think they'll pivot away from the asymmetrical multiplayer, or will they just look to get a better license that means a bit more to fans, or do you think they'll go to make something else?
I don't know. I mean. The weird thing is, having the isometric multiplayer where it's like 1 against 4 or 1 against 5 or, whatever.
Asymmetrical
yeah. What was the other one? There was that big one that was loads of... Evolve. Remember Evolve? Yeah. Like, everyone tried that out and said it was great, and then the game came out and no one played and it had a bunch of technical problems, and they started nickel and diming everyone on the DLC. But those games can do well, but you only really need 2 of the... Yeah, but Friday the 13th did very well. They had to shut it down for licensing reasons because they didn't know who owned the license.
Turned out Thursday the 12th, nowhere near as fun or terrifying.
Yeah, but I think you only really need 2 of those games on the market. Once you start getting multiple out there, then you're kind of cannibalizing the market that's available. The problem is, IllFonic were the ones that were bringing out the multiple versions of different games.
Okay,
so cannibalizing their own audience, basically.
They're the market leaders and their own competitors at the same time. Yeah. Anywho, also laying a bunch of people off. We got more of a number on this one. So I didn't know this, but XDefiant came out this year.
Yes, it did.
That was a thing.
Yeah, in like May, I think. But that came out.
If you told me that came out 2 years ago, I would have believed you, though. And if you told me it was coming out in 2 years' time, I would have also believed you.
Yeah.
I thought XDefiant was coming out. I didn't know it was out and released to the public.
A soft launch, I think is the term.
Yeah. But Ubisoft brought that out, and it's not done the numbers that they thought it was going to do. They're big. I believe it was meant to be like a Call of Duty Warzone competitor. But then they've announced they're going to discontinue the game in 2025. They've restricted any purchases in microtransactions in game immediately, and there's going to be refunds made. I think it's within 8 weeks. They said.
I mean, because what was weird with XDefiant, it launched really strongly. I think it was like their quickest game to like a million players.
Because they gave it away for free, no?
Yeah, but I think then it kind of all the balance issues with it, and it was kind of like, it's just kind of yet another first-person shooter thing, I guess, and it didn't do enough to really make it stand out for the crowd, despite the roster of iconic characters and doubtless their hats from the Ubisoft back catalogue.
It's like the running joke has died of Ubisoft's everything's an iconic thing since the iconic cap of Aidan Pierce. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Smiling Friends, but they keep that joke alive.
Nice.
I've just gone for my iconic 6-hour nap, stuff like that. I like that idea. I'm going to start using that one, I think. Anyway, we did get more of an idea of how many people have been laid off. It's around 277 employees that are going to be losing their jobs, which is roughly half of the development team for XDefiant. The other half are meant to be assigned to roles elsewhere, which is a shame.
Ubisoft very much on the opposite of whatever a role is at the moment.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little while ago. There was the whole thing where there were a bunch of leaks about the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows and the Rocky Star. Yeah. And I believe you were off on the show, Tim, but me and Dan were talking about it. And there was a whole thing of basically Ubisoft tried to get ahead of this and go, hey, the leaks aren't true. Here's what is real. But also we're going to stop doing the thing of, we'll sell you an Ultimate Edition and let you play the game early. We'll stop. We'll try to cut back on the live service and cut back on the not Game Pass. What's it called? Season Pass. Like it seemed like they're trying to make a change for the better, and then 2 weeks later, lay off nearly 300 people from their jobs. So,
but
they're in a weird thing with space at the moment.
Yeah, wasn't that? But if memory serves, I think not that long ago they were kind of picking up the ongoing roadmap for XDefiant. So it's a slightly weird bit of whiplash and kind of about face on it.
Nothing.
I know it means nothing.
Can't trust the
Let's remember the original roadmap for Destiny. Let's remember the original roadmap for what the hell was that game called? And is it worth any money now?
Anthem.
Anthem.
Wow, how quick we forget Anthem.
Pour out one for Anthem.
Oh, how much can I buy it for?
Got an update.
Go on.
Get an update.
£2.59.
£2.59.
£2.59. Yes,
bargain
that's
at half
worth
the
it.
price.
I mean, you can pay a silly amount of money for it still if you want, though. Man,
you could buy 4 copies for £2.59 and then buy them for your friends, and then you'll have people to play them with.
I don't know about you guys, but while we're talking BioWare, I'd be really interested to see how well Dragon Age Veilguard did, because as I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, I really wasn't attracted by that game. It seems like it hasn't necessarily made too many waves from what I've seen, but there seem to be some people that loved it, and a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people that bounced off it and did not like it. I saw Angry Joe's things this week. He wasn't a fan. Skill Up wasn't a fan.
Yeah, a lot of the diehards really don't like it. But the kind of message behind it, and ignoring the more fanatical message on the other side about it. But the kind of, because a lot of people are going, oh, it's bombing, and then the other side were going, actually, it's one of the best-selling games on Steam that EA put out in however long, and all this kind of stuff. I was like, okay, I'll just see how the game is in reviews. And a lot of the reviews I watched from a lot of the more kind of trustworthy people that I follow, they didn't like it. Yeah. And the ones that were huge fans, they also didn't like it, but they were going, oh, it's fallen off from Inquisition. I was like, I'd argue it fell off at 2. I thought Origins was amazing, and then everything I loved about Origins, they removed in 2, and then Inquisition, it's just a bore fest.
It's a series that I'd like to see do well, especially as, I went and visited the team when they were making 2 in Canada. And that was like a really cool experience. And I really wanted to see that game do well. And I really want to see BioWare do well. But since the 2 doctors left at the head of the studio, they've seemed to be on a slightly rocky path. And I am worried for them and the future of that studio if Dragon Age doesn't do well. But I'm also worried about just the next game seems to be Mass Effect, and I'm worried about what they would do with that. Yeah, Andromeda was obviously not great either. So it's a weird time.
That is an understatement, Tim, and a half.
Well, that's the thing. Well, there's a very similar kind of story here with Andromeda and with Veilguard, because Andromeda, I don't know if you've watched there's a big documentary about the early development of that game, and they were basically going down a No Man's Sky route where you visited all these different planets and they be procedurally generated, and then completely scrapped it and started again. But then they had to push to get the game out by the deadline that they were kind of set. So that game was very, very rushed and very, very buggy for that as well. Veilguard was apparently meant to be a live service game where you meet all your friends up and play the game together, and microtransactions and costumes and all that stuff. And then at the somewhere along the development they had to scrap that, but a lot of that stuff is still there in the game, and it kind of it's the same thing as Gotham Knights, where that was clearly meant to be a live service game that they then stripped down and went, actually no, it's not, because Avengers, and apparently there's that kind of feeling with Veilguard.
But they just seem to be a bit directionless, like they're not being steered correctly from the top, and that seems to have been the case since the two heads of the studio left. And I just it's a company that I have a lot of affinity for, because it's one of the few companies I've actually visited their offices in a foreign country. I think that's the only one that's the case. But yeah.
Oh wait, have you visited their offices, Tim?
Yeah, I'd love to see them do
You've never told us.
I'm
never
very
doesn't like
worried
talk about
about
it,
that being the case, basically. But yeah.
Anyway, one of my favorite things about Veilguard, though, is it released, and then the first mod I saw was remove the purple, because the game's very purple.
Very purple.
That's kind of wholesome. At least it wasn't a remove I don't know, gay stuff. They love doing that and then getting that. But no, I'm telling you, like Spider-Man, they go, oh, we've removed the pride flag from Spider-Man, and then they get insta-banned forever for doing that as a mod.
Well,
so I'm glad someone didn't do something like that. Go, we've removed that weird line about doing push-ups for misgendering someone.
That's just weird anyway, though. And apparently
it is a very
that was
odd
one of
line.
the things that Angry Joe got angry about, is that they didn't pay off that because they
Angry Joe got angry.
Well, they misgendered
You ought
the
to really
person that
think
they were
about
talking
rebranding.
about in that cutscene later in the game as well. Apparently, the thing that put me off is the dragons look rubbish, and it's got dragons in the name.
Yeah,
and they look pants.
Aren't they meant to be like some kind of weird dead resurrected dragons, and that's why they look like crap?
So.
I don't know, but they look crap.
Anywho, Veilguard,
Right.
it's going strength to strength as far as I'm aware. I can't wait for the next Dragon. Oh, we just had Dragon Age Day as well. We missed. I have to quickly mention that. Where they go, hey, if you're not happy that your choices from Dragon Age Origins didn't get carried over, or any of the other games didn't get carried over into this one, don't worry. We intend to do that with the sequel to Veilguard if we get to make one.
I'll be honest. I have enough trouble remembering what I did last month. There's no way in hell I'm going to remember what I did in Dragon Age Inquisition or Dragon Age 2 or Dragon. I'm never going to remember that. You just tell me, oh yeah, these are all the choices you made. I just go, right, fine, guess they were.
The
great.
Games
fine.
are too far apart for us to do that. But
To be fair, I do remember the choice I made in Dragon Age Inquisition, where I stopped playing it because it bored me senseless.
No, I just thought it seemed like a very shameless kind of, we'll do the things you wanted us to do in this game in the next game, but make sure you buy this game first so we're allowed a sequel.
Yeah.
It's very we've done another re-release of Beyond Good and Evil. Please buy it and you'll definitely get the sequel. They've done that twice
this time. We pinky promise.
Anyway. Lastly, I put this in just for Tim mainly, because I know Tim likes to play games on easy mode, and Polyphony Digital, they've announced a new I know. They've put out they're putting out the day this podcast comes out, a new Gran Turismo title called My First Gran Turismo.
Oh, bless him. I originally had images that were going to be like little chibi versions of the cars, like big wheels and stuff. But no, this is essentially like a free-to-play.
No. Yeah.
It's a free-to-play training guide, which I really like the idea of, because I haven't been into Gran Turismo for a very long time, and I'd like to get back into more of the nuances around it.
So, I mean, I think what this compared to the full-fat GT7, I think there's like 14 or 18, something like that, cars, 3 tracks.
Yeah.
And thank God a normal menu system rather than the weird world map thing that you got to go around. But it sounds quite a nice little fun to it, and it's got PSVR 2 support as well, so it's a good way if you want to...
I have a use for my PSVR 2 finally.
You finally do.
It's one of the best uses for PSVR 2 too, so it's definitely worth
I know, but
out.
now I don't have to spend 70 quid to do it.
Yes.
So, in a slightly weird design choice, though. So I kind of quite like the idea that they're like teaching you like the mechanics of racing, how cars handle, tips like that. But whenever you think of, what's the most fun bit of a Gran Turismo game? Fairly low down the fun list is the list of tedious licenses you have to do. But good news! My first Gran Turismo has all of the license tests in. If you want to bore yourself senseless and
I
frustrate
don't think it has
yourself.
all of the license tests. It's a vertical slice of the game. So you've got like a few taster races, you've got a few taster bits of the licenses.
There's a full suite of license tests.
Yes, I don't think it's all the license tests from the game.
A full suite of license tests.
Yes, but
a full suite of license tests.
I don't believe Dan meant all the licenses as in all the licenses from GT7. I think he meant it in his exuberant way of Dan speak.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
Okay, right.
Okay.
And good news as well. There's more good.
My Dan's later on. But yeah,
there's more good news as well. There's 3 music rally stages. Woohoo!
They are silly, but they're reasonably fun.
They're dumb as a rock, those things.
I mean, yes.
I just want to know, do we get the Gran Turismo Cafe?
No.
And that is
why the hell
thing.
Why
no
will
cafes for you?
I'm just going to play Indiana Jones.
Yes, that's okay. But you should try the tracks in VR. If you have a PSVR 2 and you haven't got Gran Turismo, this is an excellent way just to try those tracks. Even if you don't like racing, it's just a cool VR experience, basically.
Tim,
yes?
I bought a PSVR 2 game. I finally bought a new PSVR 2 game after a year of owning the headset.
What did you buy?
Coleman.
House Flipper VR.
Oh, Cole, it's a sickness. You've got a sickness.
Just love flipping them houses.
What's wrong with you?
Well, I also got I got Creed because I had Creed on the PSVR and I really liked it, but it wasn't very responsive. So I like the idea of that. However, my room's a lot smaller now, and I'm worried I might put my fist through the TV.
Did you?
So
did you
I'll
buy
save that for something?
Arizona Sunshine on PSVR 1?
No, I was looking. I was looking at the deals, and I've been wanting that Creed for a while, and then I saw VR House Flipper VR, and I had £5 credit from the points, and then I went. I could just buy a gift card for cheaper. Yeah, so it's I got £5 off from the points. I got £3 off from buying a gift card, and then Black Friday deal. It was pretty good.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so
I should have used my points when I did my purchase. Forgot about my points, Coleman. I have to remember that.
Silly boy, you silly boy.
But yeah, Behemoth looks really good. That's one you might want to check out, Mr. Coleman. I don't know if they're doing a demo for it, but I hope they do it.
I'll look it up. When I'm listening back to edit the show, I'll hear you say that, and I'll look it up then. Okay?
Cool. And I was asking about Arizona Sunshine because there's an upgrade for that. So they did a remake version, and you get the upgrade for like £8, I think it is. So it's not too bad.
I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me for some reason.
No.
I don't know why.
But to sell you on Behemoth a bit more, it's made by the people that made Saints and Sinners.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, why don't you just lead with that?
It's a bit like, because I forgot you like that so much, and that would go. But it's a bit like
it's my favorite VR game.
Yeah, and it's a bit like a Shadow of the Colossus style game, but made in VR. So.
Oh, that reminds me. Did you see the Titan Attack on Titan VR game?
No, apparently that was decent. No, like
that looks really good.
Yeah, I think that's only for Quest at the moment, but yeah.
All right, moving on.
Damn it.
Let's wrap up. Sorry, Dan. Saw your eyes glazing over.
Yeah, I just quickly slipped into a coma there for a moment. But it's okay because if you too slipped into a coma and need cheering up, you can go to tpublic.com/store/BRB. And if you want an equally vacant mask-like version of my face on your face, we've got you covered. tpublic.com/store/BRB. There's a wonderful Eat My Dust t-shirt. We've had 3 people buy them recently.
You remind I was going to set that up.
Yep. I had someone buy a t-shirt and a sticker of your face this week, Dan. So don't know where they're going to stick that.
Am I our top? Am I now our top merch?
Stuck.
Am I our
How
top
many
merch?
Dan faces have we sold?
You're not even top 5, I'm afraid, Dan.
Damn it!
How many faces?
I don't know, 4 or 5 at this stage, but
4 or 5 faces, Dan. All right.
Oh dear.
tpublic.com/store/BRB. Go there, buy stuff with reckless abandon.
Yes, yes. And talking of reckless abandon, what you should recklessly do on a Tuesday is go to Loading Bar in Stoke Newington and attend Tabletop Tuesday, because every Tuesday is a Tuesday, and every Tuesday has a tabletop, and every Tabletop Tuesday is a Tabletop Tuesday, isn't it, Tim? Tell us more, because you have not put anything in the agenda.
No, I have not, for reasons.
Ooh.
But this Tuesday
Raisins.
is indeed a Tuesday, and as Dan said, each and every
The
Tuesday
chocolate
we
chew.
do an event called Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. And this here Tuesday is our Christmas special. It'll be the last official event of the year. We may do one. Well, we will have an event going on the next week, but there'll be no feature game. Just come along, play games, and chill out. And we'll be playing a bit more Star Wars probably there as well. But we're doing the Christmas special because if I do it too close to Christmas, then everyone's gone away on holiday and we don't get everyone to enjoy the Christmas special. So I'm doing it next week.
Tim.
We did have something special lined up, but that seems to have fallen through. I haven't got confirmation of whether that has or hasn't, but it doesn't seem like it's going ahead. But I have a backup plan, and I will put that backup plan into play this week.
Tim, you could have just not said anything. And
The backup plan involves one of Coleman's favourite games that you can't buy in the shops anymore.
Jenga Tetris?
No.
Ticket to Ride?
Conkers.
Lords of War.
Oh, Christ. I haven't played that for ages.
Going back a while. And it's literally a game that you can't buy in the shops anymore, so I'm going to make a couple of copies of that available to win on the night. We'll also have a party game, as yet unspecified, from Big Potato, the masters of the party game. And a few other little surprises as well. So it's a bit of a backup plan, but it is still a good one and a cool one because, it's something that you can't actually get or buy in the shops anymore. But you can win a copy just by coming along and playing at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Come along for that. That should be a fun night, and it's our Christmas special, last one of the year. So come along and join us. I had a really nice surprise at last week's Tabletop Tuesday. A chap called Clarence, who currently resides in Hong Kong, but used to be a regular and came for years to Tabletop Tuesday, is returning to the UK via the special visa thing that we're doing for Hong Kong, and is coming back forever. But he came in last
just
week.
to be clear, not that
week to let us
Tabletop
know.
Tuesday does for Hong Kong. There are no
No.
advantages
That
in terms
Britain's
of
doing for
securing a
Hong Kong
British
because
visa
we messed
going
up
to
that area
Tabletop
of the
Tuesday.
world and decided to be nice to those people and give them an out.
Tim
But
taking credit
it was a
for
really
the Foreign
nice
Office.
surprise
Look at
that
him
he's
go.
moving back to the UK and is going to be another coming back to Tabletop Tuesday on a regular basis. And he popped in last week to let us know, so that is
Sweet.
good.
Welcome
And
back.
so anyone that knows Clarence that used to frequent Tabletop Tuesday, he'll be there next week as well, so you can come along Christmas special and see Clarence as well. He's a very nice chap. And we had a really fun Star Wars draft last week, so thank you very much for the people that took part in that. I won, which I haven't done before, so I was quite pleased. It was a good event, and this one should be a fun one as well. So come along and join us at the Loading Bar in Stoke Newington this Tuesday. By the time this podcast goes out tomorrow, so if you're listening live, it's not the case yet. By the time this podcast goes out tomorrow, though, there should be details up on bigredbarrel.com and on meetup.com. You can join the over 2,200 members we have there and get some details of Tabletop Tuesday, or just come along to the Loading Bar in Stoke Newington this Tuesday for the last one for the year, and then we'll be back in early January. But come along any Tuesday and join us apart from the next couple of Tuesdays. But there'll still be a bar there. We won't.
I feel you're stuck in a loop.
Yeah, he is. I think we kind of just need.
Go
Someone
back
needs to
and
reboot
forward.
Tim.
Back
Someone
and
needs to
forward.
put.
Like one of those-
Someone needs to
Usually
put a
when you
9-volt
interrupt
battery
me,
up his
so,
ass again.
Well, I was going to say, you like one of those Star Trek androids, you hit a logic
but-
puzzle or something.
He's just a little twitch gives it away.
In Blade Runner, there are 3 lights. Tabletop Tuesday, this Tuesday, the 10th of December at the Loading Bar in Stoke Newington. Be there for Tim's Christmas special, where he'll be doing his live, sexy rendition of Santa Baby wearing a thong.
That's
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah!
All
I
you
will be
need to
wearing a
do
Santa
in
hat,
order
though,
to get him to
but,
do that is, as
No.
always,
No.
lightly rub
Don't
the
tell him to
inside of
lick
his
my
thigh
face or
whilst
do anything
maintaining
with
eye
his
contact going.
nipples.
Big weirdo.
You're
Touch
my
his ears
tabletop Tim.
with your
That's all
toes.
you need to say. He loves it when you do that.
Pick
No,
him up by the
inside of the
ankles,
thigh.
swing him around like a cat.
Loves him. Oh, my tabletop Tim. That's what you need to say.
You're my big, strong tabletop Timmy Tim. Hey, if you've liked this show, you're a weird one, you are, but we love you all the same. Go to bigredbarrel.com. That's our website. We keep stuff and things there. Do you like articles? Do you like videos? Do you like podcasts? You can find them all at bigredbarrel.com. Bigger, redder, better. bigredbarrel.com. Be sure to go there.
Yes.
Over there, you can find links to our social medias. You can find us on Threads. You can find us on X. You can find us on Facebook. And you can find us on Blue Sky now at Big Red Barrel.
That's what all the kids do.
Go and join us. You can find us on Threads or at Big Red Barrel if you want to watch the show live. You can also watch us live on YouTube. And you can also watch the full, finished, final versions of these episodes on YouTube. Big Red Barrel TV.
Splendid.
Links are available on the website. Links are available in the show notes of however you listen to this podcast. If you listened, you like, you enjoy, go give us a review. 5 stars, our favorite flavor. But also, get involved in the show. You can find us on Discord, which Dan likes to pronounce as
discord.com/invite/mtuhafwa.
Yes. Or you could just follow the link on the website, or you can follow.
I would do the latter of those two things.
I'll do the website one. Go to the website, then follow the link to Discord. I think that's a happy, healthy way for everyone to get involved. But while you're there, ask us questions. You can do it anywhere, but we like the Discord. Much like Spiky Chris has done, he says, I have a question.
Yes.
Has the COVID gaming development bubble well and truly burst?
Yes.
XDefiant is a prime example of a game that is getting shut down next year. In a genre I am interested in, but I've never heard about until its cancellation. Same boat as us. Is oversaturation the invisible, or is everyone skint?
So
kind of column A, column B.
I think there was massive overinvestment in the industry in an unsustainable way, which then collapsed in on itself when everyone went back to work and started seeing people in real life. So I actually think it was a complete misjudgment of what the market conditions were going to be beyond the short term. That's a really boring answer, but that's the one I think is my answer.
It's the same in entertainment. It's the same in tech. Like the whole COVID thing. All of a sudden, especially in the US, people were given their special stimulus checks, and they were able to go and spend money on whatever they wanted with reckless abandon. And would you believe it? Video game sales went up a huge amount. So did streaming. Also went up, funnily enough. So big investments were made into video games, especially ones that could make money from you just sitting at home playing those games, through microtransactions, like a live service game. And one of the big ones that was doing very well was the Warzone, because it's free to play. You pick it up, you jump in, you spend money on skins and guns and things. What's not to love? So then everyone wants to make it's the same thing as the MMO. Warcraft does huge numbers. Everyone wants to make a World of Warcraft. MMOs rise up all around the world, and like 80% of them fail.
I think this was a bit different, though, because I think games companies got massive investments because they were doing well and their stock prices went up and all that type of stuff. So they had a massive amount of investment come in. And they needed to do something with that money. So most of the companies invested it in expanding their staff and staffing up, because that was a seemingly sensible thing to invest in. But then when they didn't get the payoff on the other side, then they had to start cutting people, and then there's so many cuts going on all the time and everything else, and then that leads to lots of people leaking out of the industry. So slightly different. Also, I don't know if you saw this week as well, IGN put out an article that I've only read the headline. I didn't really go into the article, but they were asking whether the bubble has burst on AAA games in general, basically. So I think that there is a little bit of that as well. I think the other side of the problem is that consoles, and therefore the people that sort of put money into those, Xbox and PlayStation, are having more difficulty with the fact that AAA game development has gone into a massive money sink at the moment. It kind of takes a massive amount of money to develop a AAA game. It takes so long to do that it's really hard to get a definite return on that investment. So AAA game development in general, I think, is struggling at the moment, even irrespective of COVID and stuff, basically.
But that's why you're seeing, especially like on the PlayStation side, we've just seen the example of Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 ballooned massively outside of its budget. Yeah. And they didn't really, it did very well, it sold gangbusters, but it took a long time before they made their money back. And then They've ended up having to cancel more Spider-Man projects. They've had to cancel the DLC that was meant to be launched for Spider-Man 2 because it's just not worth the time and investment putting into it, because they don't think they're going to get that back, especially when you look at the sales of what was made with the previous DLC for the last Spider-Man game. So I don't think the issue is AAA in itself. I think the issue is people just spending so much money on AAA, or trying to make the AAA live service, the AAA, like, or following trends, as we like to say. But yeah, it's a grabbing title from IGN. It's much like is our single player games dead? You know, it's a conversation we're always going to end up hearing in some form or another. I don't think they're dead. I just think that they need to rein it in a bit.
Yes, but I think that will be the case going forward. I don't think this exponential growth that we've been seeing in the last few years is sustainable, and I don't think it's going to sustain. So yeah, no.
Yeah, the industry as a whole, not just the games industry, but like the world as a whole, everything needs to kind of claw itself back, and it's going to be a while before we get there.
Yeah.
We're going to make games great again, Tim.
No, we're not going down.
We're going to make games.
Nope.
We're going to make games great again, Tim.
No.
Oh my God.
Oh, Christ.
But we're in the golden age of TV at the moment. I think streaming services are going to go through some growing pains in the next few years, and like have to.
They already have.
Exactly.
They're going through those.
They
pains.
cancelled Frasier, Tim. I was watching
Say
that.
It isn't so. I forgot.
No one else was watching it.
Relaunched that. But hey.
Anyway, chaps, I think we should probably wrap this show up. Thank you as ever for listening to us, one and all. We really appreciate you checking us out. Go to bigredbarrel.com, follow all the links Coleman told you about earlier, and do say hello. So we're going to go, and all that's really left for me to do is to remind you that I have been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
I've been great again.
Make Coleman great again.
Make Coleman great again.
So, anyway, as I was saying, thank you so much for downloading the show and tuning in, or whatever it is you're doing. And until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarrel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
People
do love a Pokemans. They do love.
I do like
Pokemans.
opening up packs of cards on the toilet.
Packs of what on the toilet? King size Snickers bars.
Tetley tea.